The grand wedding hall was filled with anticipation as the priest addressed the groom.
Mr. John, do you take Miss Emily to be your wife?
I gazed deeply at Emily, who looked like a celestial being descended to earth today.
I do.
The priest turned to Emily.
And Miss Emily, do you take Mr. John to be your husband?
Emily seemed lost in thought, her expression hesitant, her eyes evasive.
I.
Her eyes frequently glanced at the closed chapel doors, as if waiting for someone. Instantly, whispers filled the hall. My heart sank, and I gently took her hand, guiding her tenderly. After a long pause, she finally spoke again.
I do.
Her voice was abruptly interrupted by the sound of the doors opening, a noise that echoed sharply in the silent hall.
She doesn't.
Michael barged in unceremoniously. He was impeccably dressed in a white wedding suit, holding a bouquet, looking even more fitting for Emily than I did. His face showed no embarrassment or guilt, only a smug confidence.
Emily, I'm late. Will you come with me?
My mind went blank. I couldn't believe he was openly crashing the wedding.
I told you, Michael is a well-known figure in the city. He wouldn't let Emily marry this nobody.
Exactly, this John should look at himself in the mirror. If Michael hadn't gone abroad for treatment, would it have been his turn?
This is the eldest daughter of the Liu family. Look how perfect Emily and Michael look together.
The hall erupted in whispers, making me feel utterly humiliated. But unfortunately, they were right. I knew too well that I stood no chance against Michael in Emily's eyes. Instinctively, I tightened my grip on Emily's hand, pleading with her not to leave.
Emily, please don't.
But she let go of my hand without hesitation.
Sorry, John.
Her delicate face no longer showed the earlier hesitation. She mercilessly pried my fingers off, as if discarding something troublesome, then lifted her wedding dress and ran towards Michael without looking back. All the blood in my body seemed to stop flowing, my body cold as ice, as I watched the perfect couple lead hand in hand, heading towards their happiness. Before I could even dismiss the guests, the news of Emily's runaway wedding had already hit the front pages. Every media outlet was scrambling to report it. I returned to the wedding room we had prepared in a daze. The bright red wedding decorations on the walls mocked my overestimation of myself. I sat on the wedding bed all night, waiting for Emily to return, but she never did. It wasn't until noon the next day that I heard the door open. Emily walked in, wearing a bright outfit I had never seen her in before, looking radiant. And me? Pale-faced, with bloodshot eyes, I looked like I had aged 10 years overnight.
John, are you okay?
Without waiting for my response, she continued.
John, can you explain to the public that I didn't run away from the wedding? It was all a misunderstanding, and we'll have the wedding again soon, okay?
Why?
You know Michael just recovered from a serious illness and can't handle any stress. We'll get married once he's better.
In all the years we were together, she never cared when I was sick and hospitalized. I never dared to question her because I knew comparing myself to Michael was a losing battle. They grew up together, and I could never compete with that bond. I deceived myself into thinking that as long as Emily was willing to marry me, it meant she had feelings for me. But the truth proved me wrong, terribly wrong.
What if I say no?
Emily impatiently pushed my hand away.
John, don't be difficult. If you make a statement and Lou's stock goes up, it will benefit you too, won't it?
See, even now, she cared about Michael and the stock, but not about me. 7 years, we had been together for 7 years, and in her eyes, I could never compare to Michael and her company. Marriage? Would we still get married? It was all just an excuse to keep me around. Even if she wanted to marry, I could never marry her now. The world had changed, and my heart had turned to ashes. I ignored her and got up to leave.
John, where are you going?
Does it matter to you?
She used force, trying to pull me back.
Stop making a scene. I already said that as long as you make the statement, we will still get married.
I couldn't take it anymore and slapped her.
Enough, Emily. From the moment you ran away from the wedding, we were done. I don't want to see you again.
With that, I slammed the door and left. The rain was pouring, accompanied by thunder and lightning. I was soaked to the bone and shivering from the cold, but my heart felt even colder. My phone rang repeatedly, and I knew without looking that it was Emily calling. The word wife on the screen stung my eyes, and in a fit of anger, I threw the phone into the muddy ground. That phone was a gift from Emily, a matching pair she had specially bought for us. But now, I was returning it to her, along with all my feelings. As I wandered aimlessly down the road, a blinding white light suddenly appeared in the distance, accompanied by the urgent blare of a horn that nearly shattered my eardrums. Before I could react, a sharp impact hit my waist and abdomen, and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed, and every movement caused pain. I heard the faint sound of typing nearby and turned towards the noise. It was her.
You're awake.
Sophia was a high school classmate of mine and now Emily's business rival. We had been on good terms in high school, not particularly close but friendly enough to greet each other. However, after I started dating Emily, I hadn't spoken to Sophia again, even deleting all her contact information at Emily's request. Sophia knew about Emily leaving me at our wedding, so she was careful not to mention anything related to it, being considerate of my feelings.
It's fortunate that it was raining and the car wasn't going fast. You only have some bruises and scrapes and can be discharged after a few days of observation.
Can he move or eat normally?
It's just superficial injuries. As long as it doesn't hurt, you can move. Eat whatever you want, just don't overdo it. Just started dating, huh? Your girlfriend seems really worried about you.
Yes, I was so scared.
After the doctor left, Sophia came over to help me sit up, adjusting the pillow behind me with such care, afraid of causing me any pain.
Are you hungry? What would you like to eat? I'll go get it.
Century egg and lean pork congee, please.
Okay, wait here. I'll be back soon.
I stared absent-mindedly at her departing figure. When Sophia returned, I was just about to get out of bed to use the bathroom.
Why are you getting out of bed by yourself? What if you fall?
It's just some minor injuries.
As I tried to push her away to prove I could walk, she stubbornly refused to let go, insisting on helping me to the bathroom. In the struggle, my foot got caught on the bed frame, and I lost my balance, falling to the ground.
Oh no!
Because Sophia was holding my arm tightly, she fell with me before she could react. Fortunately, I cushioned the fall, preventing her from being crushed under my weight. Her cheek collided with my chest, soft and unexpectedly gentle, making my heart race.
I'm so sorry.
As she lifted her head, her nose brushed against my jaw, followed by an even softer, wetter sensation. Realizing what had happened, my face flushed, my mind blank, unsure of how to respond. Sophia seemed equally stunned, frozen in place.
Sophia.
Our noses were less than 2 inches apart, our increasingly heavy breaths mingling in the air, raising the room's temperature by several degrees. She stared at me, her eyes filled with complex emotions I couldn't decipher, along with a rising desire. At some point, her hand had rested on my shoulder, the warmth seeping through my thin clothes, making my ears turn red.
John.
Her intense gaze traveled from my eyes to my nose, finally settling on my lips. Under her scrutiny, I unconsciously licked my dry lips, and her eyes darkened visibly. She swallowed hard, then, as if driven by impulse, kissed me. Her lips were softer and sweeter than I had imagined, making me crave more. Unable to resist, I placed my hand on the back of her head, seeking more. The room echoed with sounds that made our faces flush. I don't know how much time had passed, but the blush on Sophia's face had not yet faded as she lay on my chest, panting. I gently patted her back to help her catch her breath.
I'm sorry, John,
You did nothing wrong.
But you and Emily.
I've already broken up with her.
Her eyes instantly brightened. At that moment, it seemed as if everything around us lost its color, and her entire world was just me.
Are you serious?
Seeing her adorable expression, I couldn't help but lean in and kiss the corner of her mouth.
Of course. Why would I keep someone like her around?
We kissed again and quickly confirmed our relationship. She even stopped going to work to take care of me, staying with me in the hospital.
I told her many times that I was fine and could take care of myself, but she still worried.
Eventually, she had her assistant move all her office files to the hospital room, holding video conferences right in front of me without any hesitation. When Emily barged in, Sophia was sitting on my lap, kissing me. Michael followed closely behind.
John, I heard you. What are you two doing?
Who let you in?
I comfortingly wiped the moisture from her lips.
What a pair of adulterers, having an affair in the hospital.
Without a word, Emily rushed to pull Sophia away. I quickly protected Sophia, grabbed Emily's wrist, and threw her to the ground.
Enough, Emily. This is a hospital. Stop causing a scene.
Emily's eyes were red, filled with anger and grievance.
Causing a scene? What were you two just doing?
We've already broken up. What I do is none of your business.
You knew I didn't get along with her. Oh, you did this on purpose to spite me, didn't you?
Can you stop flattering yourself?
She didn't listen to a word I said, lost in her own world.
I told you so many times, I didn't want to break up. Once Michael's health fully recovers, we'll get married.
Sophia's abrupt laughter filled the room.
Emily, oh Emily, I knew you were foolish, but I didn't realize you were this foolish. You've been deceived by such a clumsy trick for so many years. Perfect, this is a hospital. You can take your little lover to check if he's really sick.
Michael looked panicked. After we got together, Sophia accompanied me to many places.
I actually love traveling, but after being with Emily, I never went out again. She always said she was too busy with work to accompany me.
But Sophia was willing to put aside all her work to patiently accompany me anywhere.
I told her I loved the sea, and she took me to beaches around the world.
She would smile and wipe the ice cream off the corner of my mouth, carefully apply sunscreen for me, and sit quietly with me by the sea to watch the sunset. As night fell, Sophia mysteriously told me she had a surprise for me.
All right, open your eyes.
I was stunned by the scene before me. Hundreds of glowing balloons floated into the sky the moment I opened my eyes, and thousands of vibrant red roses on the beach formed a giant heart. In the center of the heart stood a beautiful bride in a wedding dress.
John, I know you've always wanted a perfect wedding. What others couldn't give you, I will fulfill for you.
She slowly walked towards me, knelt on one knee in front of me, and took out a ring.
Love from the sea?
2 years ago, I saw it at an auction. I liked it very much and wanted Emily to buy it for me, but she said it wasn't worth spending millions on a ring. I only knew it was bought by a mysterious person in the end. I never expected that mysterious person to be Sophia. It turned out she had been paying attention to me 2 years ago.
John, will you marry me?
We embraced tightly amidst the blessings of people from all over the world. A few days before the wedding, Sophia and I returned to our high school. She pointed to a tall willow tree and said,
Do you remember? This is where we first met.
She recounted how she was carrying a stack of books to the classroom when a breeze blew her hat away. In her haste, she dropped all her books. She had to crouch down awkwardly to pick them up, but then she felt a touch on her head. A handsome boy had picked up her hat and gently placed it back on her head, silently helping her gather the scattered books and carrying them to the classroom without saying a word.
That boy was you. From that day on, I started to notice you.
I was flattered because, in high school, Sophia was a renowned beauty and top student, while I was just an ordinary boy. How could I have deserved her attention? That day, I realized that even in what I thought were my darkest times, someone had been silently watching over and caring for me. We were leisurely strolling through the campus when suddenly, it began to pour. Sophia and I had to take shelter under an eave. As the rain intensified, we found ourselves drawing closer. Before I knew it, we were kissing.
John.
I was startled, seeing someone approaching with a look of fury. It was Emily again. Why couldn't she leave us alone? Soaked to the skin, she ran towards me, disregarding everything. I quickly dodged her touch. Unexpectedly, she dropped to her knees.
John, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please come back to me.
Stop embarrassing yourself, Emily. Go home.
John, I'm sorry. It was all my fault before. If we get married, I'll do whatever you say. All my assets will be yours. Please come back to me.
Did she really think I cared about the money? Sophia's eyes darkened, and she kicked Emily to the ground.
Whatever you can give, I can give too. And what you can't, I can still provide. Emily, belated affection is worth less than grass. If you keep bothering John, don't blame me for being harsh.
Emily was provoked by her words, her eyes turning red with anger, glaring at Sophia. But Sophia didn't take her seriously, pulling me away. Emily suddenly lunged at Sophia. Fortunately, Sophia reacted quickly, kicking her into the rainwater. Emily, like a madwoman, stood up in a disheveled state, still trying to attack Sophia, but was restrained by the security guards who arrived just in time, pinning her to the ground. We were both startled, hugging each other for comfort. Seeing our intimacy, Emily's eyes grew even darker, like a caged beast desperately trying to break free and attack Sophia. We quickly left the scene. On the day John and Sophia were to get married, a major incident occurred. John stood at the end of the red carpet, waiting for the chapel doors to open, waiting for the bride to walk towards him. But no matter how many times the officiant called, the doors remained shut. Panic set in, and John quickly called Sophia. After a few rings, the call was answered, but it wasn't Sophia's voice.
Hello, John.
Emily? Where's Sophia?
Sophia? She's right here next to me, sleeping soundly.
Emily had taken Sophia. John was thrown into chaos.
What have you done to her? What do you want?
Don't worry, just come to a place I'll send you the address for. Oh, and don't call the police, or I can't guarantee what might happen.
John didn't even have time to change out of his suit and rushed to the location as fast as he could. It was a cafe. He quickly spotted Emily and stormed over.
What do you want? If anything happens to Sophia, you'll regret it.
Do you remember this place?
John glared at her, unwilling to respond.
This is where we first met. You were standing there, so tall and handsome, I noticed you immediately.
Her eyes grew moist.
I thought we would have a happy ending, but why did things turn out this way?
Because you destroyed our future with your own hands.
Emily wiped away a tear.
Yes, it was my fault.
Where's Sophia?
If you want to see her so badly, follow me.
Emily led John to an abandoned factory, filled with the smell of dust, the building looking like it could collapse at any moment. She took him to a hidden corner. John saw Sophia. She was tied up in the corner, her mouth covered with layers of tape. Tears welled up in John's eyes instantly. She was still wearing the carefully prepared wedding dress, her favorite one, now gray and tattered.
Sophia!
Sophia, barely conscious, looked at him as soon as she heard his call. John tried to run to her but was held back by Emily's accomplice.
If you want to save her, there's a way. You just need to agree to one thing.
What is it?
Right now, immediately, go to the registry office and marry me.
A storm raged in John's heart. He hadn't expected her to go to such lengths just to marry him.
Even if we get married like this, it won't be legally binding.
I just want to marry you.
Sophia, hearing their conversation, shook her head vigorously while crying. John knew she would never agree to this. But as he hesitated, Emily signaled to her accomplice. The man next to her immediately pulled out a fruit knife and threw it towards Sophia without hesitation.
No!
The knife spun in the air countless times before embedding itself in the pillar behind Sophia, less than a centimeter from her temple. Both Sophia and John breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at Sophia, drenched in cold sweat from fear, John finally chose to compromise.
All right, I agree.
Are you both here to get married voluntarily? The civil affairs officer looked at us with suspicion.
Of course, we are.
Yes, voluntarily.
The officer, satisfied with our answers, reached for the stamp to finalize the paperwork.
Stop!
A commanding voice echoed from the doorway. It was the police. A huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me. Just an hour earlier, while I was home retrieving my ID, I had secretly called the police. Now that the police were here to apprehend Emily, it meant that Sophia had likely been rescued. The police quickly subdued Emily and placed handcuffs on her wrists. Once the scene was secure, as expected, Sophia rushed out of the police car and hugged me tightly.
John, I thought I'd never see you again.
It's over now. Everything's fine.
Later, during the police investigation, it was discovered that Emily's company was involved in numerous illegal activities, including money laundering. With multiple charges against her, she was sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison. Before her sentence was carried out, she requested to see me one last time. I refused. I had a wedding to prepare for. The wedding was grand, and the media dubbed it the wedding of the century. Sophia bought the front page of every newspaper, saying she wanted the world to witness our love. Compared to my previous 2 weddings, this one went exceptionally smoothly. Lying beside Sophia that night, everything still felt surreal.
What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?
No, I feel like I've wronged you.
If it weren't for me, none of this would have happened, and she wouldn't have had to endure so much trouble.
Silly, those were the actions of bad people. How can you blame yourself? She cupped my face and gently kissed my forehead, the corners of my eyes, the tip of my nose, and finally, my lips.
In a daze, I heard her say,
I love you, John.
I also heard some news about Michael. It was discovered that he wasn't the biological son of the Gu family. He was actually the son of a nanny the Gu family had hired. The nanny had switched the children for her own gain. Overnight, Michael fell from grace, the former prince of the capital's elite circles turned into a despised thief. The Gu family used every means to ruin the nanny's family, and Michael disappeared from the public eye. 2 years after our wedding, Sophia became pregnant. When she showed me the report, my mind went blank. I joyfully lifted her up and spun her around several times.
I'm going to be a dad! I'm going to be a dad!
You're such a big man, yet still so childish. And you, why didn't you let me accompany you to the hospital for such a big event? I wanted to surprise you once it was confirmed.
Sophia continued working even after becoming pregnant. In the early months, she went to the office punctually every day. Later, when her belly became more noticeable and movement became difficult, she worked from home. Her water broke while she was still handling documents. Luckily, we had taken her to the hospital in advance to prepare for delivery, otherwise, I wouldn't have known how to handle the situation. I paced anxiously outside the delivery room. After what felt like an eternity, the door finally opened, and I rushed over as soon as the doctor appeared.
Doctor, how's she?
The surgery was successful. It's a girl. Both mother and child are safe.
I let out a huge sigh of relief.
Thank you, doctor.
I took a quick look at the baby before placing her in my mother-in-law's arms and hurried into the delivery room. Seeing Sophia's condition made my heart ache. She lay there quietly, having exhausted all her strength during childbirth, her face pale and devoid of color. The renowned CEO of the Yin family, enduring such hardship. Tears welled up in my eyes as I gently caressed her cheek, afraid of causing her any pain.
Does it hurt?
It doesn't hurt. But you, such a big man, crying like this.
I held her hand and kissed it gently.
Let's not have any more children.
Our daughter looked very much like Sophia, and I loved her dearly. I couldn't bear to miss any event in her life. Having grown up as an orphan without parental love, and having spent a long time without the love of the person I cherished, I didn't want my daughter to experience such pain. Accompanying her as she grew gave me the illusion of accompanying a young Sophia. They looked alike, even their personalities were strikingly similar. Gentle yet firm, confident yet stubborn. I loved them both deeply, and they loved me too. That was enough. One day, 10 years after our wedding, our family was at an amusement park. I saw a familiar figure. She was wearing a conspicuous orange sanitation uniform, bent over, cleaning up trash.
Daddy, what are you looking at?
Daddy might have seen an old acquaintance.
Then why doesn't Daddy go say hello?
I was about to refuse when she pulled me towards the figure. I looked to Sophia for help.
Let's go together. It's all in the past.
My daughter ran over and started helping Emily pick up trash, throwing it into a nearby bin. Emily was about to thank the little girl but was stunned to see us. Her eyes instantly avoided ours, and she covered her face, trying to pretend she didn't recognize us. She looked much older.
Emily, long time no see.
Realizing she had been recognized and had nowhere to hide, she lowered her hand and bowed her head.
Long time no see.
Hello, Auntie.
Emily paused and looked at the little girl.
Is this your daughter?
Yes, she's 8 years old now.
For some reason, Emily's eyes reddened, and it took her a while to speak again.
She's very cute.
Thank you.
There wasn't much to talk about, so after a few words, I told her we had to go enjoy the rides and said goodbye. After walking a short distance, I looked back and saw Emily still standing there, dazed. I crouched down and spoke to my daughter.
Can you go buy an ice cream and give it to that lady?
She immediately went to buy an ice cream and ran back to give it to Emily. Sophia watched our daughter and asked me curiously.
What did you say to her?
I asked her to give that lady an ice cream.
Good idea, it's so hot today.
I had actually asked my daughter to deliver a message to Emily as well. Take care of yourself. My daughter soon returned, holding my hand.
Daddy, that lady started crying after I told her that. I asked her what was wrong, but she wouldn't say. I just helped her wipe her tears.
Really? My little sweetheart did a great job.
The next day, I saw a news report. A sanitation worker at the amusement park had taken a large amount of sleeping pills at home and passed away despite rescue efforts.